Right now, we're lucky to be joined by someone who can give an insight into a road trip and how it actually works as an expert in this field. Aaron Degerness is the Director of Football Operations here at the New York Jets. Aaron oversees the entire football operations department, so it's pretty important. He oversees all training camp hotels and logistics, plus is in charge of all of the travel for home and road games. He's also won NFL Travel Director of the Year. So, yeah, he's exactly the person to speak to. And he joins us right now. Aaron, thank you so much for joining us. I am fascinated by all of this because if you take my football, there's a squad of about 15 players, whereas, and they go down the road in a bus, for example, whereas with you for away games, it's a whole different deal, isn't it?
Yeah, it's different. And, thank you guys, Richie. Thank you for having me. Dan, thanks for having me. Yeah, it's definitely different than the football that you guys are used to. It's a lot of people going to Cleveland this week. We got 190 people on our travel party. Really looking forward to getting into the details with you guys and talking some shop.
You know what I'm always curious about, Aaron, is when the schedule for the season comes out every year, which is now in the month of May, how soon after that do you begin preparations already of setting up the season-long travel?
Yeah, we actually begin before the schedule even comes out. We send Mary Jo and my department out in advance to look at hotels. So when the schedule drops in May, we can hit the ground running because, most hotel bookings happen over a year in advance. Unfortunately, with the NFL coming out, the schedule coming out in May, we have about 3 months before preseason and 4 or 5 months before the regular season. So that process starts right away with hotels, airlines, and buses.
And you get a little bit of a heads up, right, because you know the opponents in advance already, so you know what cities you'll be checking into, so you could go and scout those hotels a little bit earlier, right? You just don't know the where and the when exactly.
Yep, that's exactly right. So we know our opponents. We're just waiting on the all-important date, but we can get a lot of advanced stuff done. But when it comes to hotels and booking all that stuff, we really need the dates, and that's what drives where we stay.
It's not only all of the people that you've got to be looking after, it's all of the equipment as well, I'm guessing. Do you need to book out 3 hotel rooms for every single player because of the sheer amount of equipment they're going to bring as well?
Yeah, so the players don't really touch any of the equipment. Our equipment staff, led by Gus Graneman and the crew down there, they handle all of the equipment. So once the plane lands, all that stuff goes directly to the stadium other than some stuff in the hotel for our trainers in our training room. But it is about 16 to 20,000 pounds, worth of equipment. And we take up between 15 and 20,000 square feet of meeting space on every given game.
And it's a lot of stuff, certainly, when you talk about that. Now, not necessarily depending on where the game is. I mean, there are some that are within driving distance, for example, like if you play a little bit closer, let's say Philadelphia. I know Baltimore, when they came up here to play us, they came via train. It isn't necessarily all plane trips, though, necessarily, which might make the transport a little bit different with everything.
Yeah, for sure. So Philly preseason this year, we bussed down to Philly, just straight from the facility here. We've taken Amtrak in years past to go down and visit Baltimore, Washington, and then all the other road trips are on plane for us. So the less logistics you throw in there from planes, trains, and automobiles, the easier. So, but our normal hat is on a plane.
Aaron, what are some of your favourite requests that you've had from some of the players? Like, for example, I need to sit next to this person, or I need a window seat, or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of requests in my 17 years from players, but some of the funny ones can come from staff too. Like, hey, I want to sit on a window seat, or we had a staff member the last couple of years that was trying to get their pilot's license, so they wanted to sit near the wing on a window so they could see the lights and the runways and how the flaps work. So,
I thought you were going to say they wanted to fly the plane.
No, thanks. There's a lot we can do, but that's definitely, not one of them. So there's a lot of requests, and we travel 69 players, so you try to take all of that into account and make sure everyone's as comfortable as possible when we travel.
Obviously, we're talking to people now in the UK, and they hear this and want to know the ins and outs and stuff. So Jets made the London trip last year. How did that go, the whole experience, in terms of being different from traveling to a game here in the United States?
Yeah, so, we had a great experience going across last year. The NFL Europe has and NFL London have done a really good job of, setting it up for us. The biggest challenge for us for that one was the COVID protocols and going to another country and all the documentation and everything that needed to be filled out 24 hours in advance. That was really the biggest hurdle. The rest of the trip, we had a really good trip. The British people were super accommodating for us, very welcoming. The hotel was amazing. Everyone at the stadium, the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, is absolutely magnificent. And they built it with NFL locker room and NFL training room and with the NFL in mind, which when we made our first trip over there going to Wembley, that's more of, the UK's football locker room where they don't have as many lockers, but they did an unbelievable job with the Tottenham stadium, and we had a really, really good trip.
Players bring a lot of souvenirs back from that trip?
We did. Yeah, there's always the staff too. Everybody brings souvenirs. We stayed outside of downtown London about an hour, so it was a little harder for people to get in there, but it's always one of those things that once we get through security at Heathrow, people stop at the gift shop to grab the Tower of London or whatever it may be, some type of souvenir to bring home.
Aaron, listen, if there was anything you missed out on, like, I don't know, if you wanted me to post you some fish and chips, I'll absolutely do that. You just need to let me know where and when. But talk to us about sort of the timeline of the week. I'm guessing it changes depending on the distance that you go, but how far in advance of the match do you travel? Do you train in between traveling and the match itself? Talk us through that timeline.
Yeah, so a normal game, Richie, we leave on a Saturday. We'll leave, the players will train in the morning. We will do our airport security screening here at our facility. Everybody will get on a bus, go to the airport, hop on the plane, and we usually land in the early afternoon in the road city. Players and coaches and staff pretty much go right to the hotel. We have meetings and dinner and food that night. Players have curfew. And most games are 1 o'clock. You wake up in the morning, have a pregame meal, and bus over to the stadium and hit the ground running.
All right, true.
It's fascinating to hear you. Sorry, Dan. I was going to say it's fascinating to hear you talk about the curfew, because whenever I work abroad or in a completely different place, the one thing that I want to do is go out and have a look around and visit maybe a bar. But then I'm saying that as someone sat behind a microphone talking to you, as opposed to a professional athlete.
Yeah, you're not having to go out and necessarily perform on Sunday. So the guys do have an opportunity to go out together and get some local cuisine or have some camaraderie at dinner. But we definitely like them all tucked in nice and early so they can get a good night's sleep for the next day.
All right, I'm going to relate this next question to a true story that actually happened yesterday, okay? My partner on the pre- and post-game shows on the radio, Greg Buttle, former Jet great linebacker, I'm leaving the stadium. I get a call from our producer saying that somebody left their charger at the stadium for their tablet. It was Greg. He left his. So that's a tablet. He can recover, whatever. I'm curious, in all the travels, what happens if a player, a staff member, somebody realizes after the fact, uh-oh, I left so-and-so or something behind? What's that about?
Listen, it happens every time we're on the bus. It happens every time we're on the plane. We can make as many announcements as we want. People forget things more times than not. It's players, but there's plenty of staff, that leave stuff behind as well. And at that point, if we've left the stadium, we've had everything from diamond earrings to wedding rings. We just call our local contacts, whether it's the bus company, the hotel, or our stadium contact, and say, hey, such and such left this. Can you guys take a look? And then it either gets mailed or FedEx back to us.
And Aaron, listen, final question. And I'm a little bit worried for you about asking this question, or for whoever has to deal with this. With regards to the kit, after you play a match, naturally, it's not going to smell great. It's going to be really funky. So what happens? Do you have to travel back with all of this really funky, grim-smelling kit, or do you get to wash it there? How does that work?
It's an important question, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we have to travel back with it with a dirty kit. Yeah. So all the shoulder pads and everything. After the game, everybody kind of sees the game, and then you turn off your TV. But there's a whole nother side to getting out of the stadium. So the equipment guys pack everything up. All the dirty laundry goes in hampers. And we're usually out of the stadium within an hour after the game. All that stuff is on equipment trucks, go to the airport. That stuff goes underneath the plane. Once we land back here, goes back on equipment trucks again, and then comes back to the facility, and then finally gets taken out of what you call the kit, or we'll call the player bag. Gets taken out, gets aired out, and then all the laundry gets done at that time. So we travel with dirty stuff, but thank God it's under the plane and it's not above the wing.
Let me sneak one last one in real quick, Richie, because I'm sure you're no different. We're all the same. When we travel, we always need to look ahead and maybe concern ourselves with important things like, what am I going to be eating on the plane or something like that? I'm sure that the players and the staff are no different than that. Is there a set menu? What are we eating on these travel trips with these when the team goes away or wherever like that?
Yeah, so there's no shortage of food when you travel with an NFL team. That's definitely one thing. On departure day, Saturday, the big hit before the guys get on the plane is Chick-fil-A.
Wow.
So as you're boarding the plane, we have Chick-fil-A sandwiches and nuggets, which is always a big hit. And then once everybody gets on the plane, there's a pre-menu that's in each seat back. So the guys, as they're boarding and sit down and get comfortable, they can look at the menu and go through that. Everyone's afforded a first-class meal on the entire plane. And then obviously once we touch down, we have food at the hotel the entire time.
Richie, Chick-fil-A, by the way, in case you're not familiar. Yes, Chick-fil-A is a fast food restaurant here, and it is by far, at least, I might be a little biased, the best chicken that you can ask for in terms of the fast food variety. And so they get the chicken sandwiches, the nuggets, all that stuff. That is the way to travel, my friend. That is how to do it.
Man. And how have I been over there and never had Chick-fil-A? Next time.
Next time.
You have to. And we would have it coming back on Sunday as well, but unfortunately they're not open on Sundays.
Yes.
So usually it's a local place that either Red Robin or something like that we have coming back before we get on the plane.
Aaron, at least tell me, just before I let you go, that whoever needs to open that kit bag once they've got off the plane is at least wearing like a gas mask and a hazmat suit, because that must be gross.
No, I think the most they have is rubber gloves on, surgical gloves. So, maybe we can get you down there to help us out, Richie, after one game.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'll dive into most things, but I'm pretty sure I can imagine just how bad that would be.
It's an
Aaron,
experience.
Listen, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Richie.
Top man.
Thanks, Aaron.
Yep, thanks, Dan.
How does it feel getting back into the season? One game under your belt, in the groove already?
It's definitely a shift from preseason. I think the longer you play this game, you really notice the uptick that happens when the regular season hits. So definitely feels good to be back in the groove of things. The whole week of game planning, the build up to the game, and being able to go out there and cut it loose is always a great feeling. So definitely good to be back in the groove.
Listen, Sheldon, though, I've got to flip that question. As a man as well, are there any players that you've come up against where you've been like, oh no, oh whoa, okay, I'm in a match here. This guy's got me a little bit shook.
As a man, respectfully, hell no. Hell no.
Good lad. Good lad.
I think there's some talented guys that I go against, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna put all the chips on me. I'm gonna put them all on me, and I like me in every matchup, every battle. I'm taking me.
Listen, I might have to clip that "I'm on me" and just use it as my alarm every single morning when I wake up and just listen to that, because that is motivation right there.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate that. Just trying to give you some motivation, man.
That'll get the day started for you in the right way.
The first one's free, but the next one I'm charging.
There you go. Who are some of the strongest offensive linemen though that you have to go against, or you've gone against already so far in your time in the league?
I think some of the better guys that always come to mind. Zach Martin. Being one of the, just at some point he's gonna walk away from this game with a gold jacket.
Right.
He's that good. I've went up against when I was in New Orleans. One of my teammates, Larry Warford, was a good guy. I've had my battles with Lakin, before we became teammates. Even AVT now, obviously going into his second year, is one of the better guys I've lined up against. David DeCastro when he was with Pittsburgh. I've had some battle. Quentin Nelson.
Mm-hmm.
We had some battles with him last year. He just got paid. Congrats.
Yes,
on
he
that.
did.
I think there's talented guys all over the place lining up. At the guard position, but like I said, I'm gonna pick me every time, and hey, you may get me 20 times, but that 21st time, hey, listen, I like me. I'm coming to get it.
Love that. Love that. Now, we've been talking road matches or away matches, however you want to phrase it. And you haven't traveled much further for a match than London last year, Sheldon. How was that experience for you, playing in front of a British crowd?
I love it, actually. So it was my second time. I think I did it once when I played with the New Orleans Saints. So I went over there and played. And so when I went over there with New Orleans, we were able to stay for pretty much the whole week. So, we were able to kind of get out, get around and see the place and, explore, learn a little bit, eat some food, and embrace ourselves and, just kind of the locals and things like that. So I definitely love going over there. It's definitely one of more of my fun things to do, especially playing this league. Obviously going to the different cities in the States is cool, but being able to go over there, just to a completely different crowd is always fun.
Not necessarily just even London, but like when you guys go on the road, like you'll be going to Cleveland this week. When you go into those hostile environments, does that give you a little bit of extra motivation and just getting ready for that type of game, knowing you're going into somebody else's home?
Absolutely. I think honestly, most players would say they prefer away games, like that just feeling of going in and literally everybody's against you, and to go into another team stadium and literally snatch the life out of it, and they were all screaming and saying all these things, but third quarter comes around, now they're silent or now they're leaving, so I think to be able to go into another stadium and do that, there's no feeling like it in football.
To hear silence, to hear silence on the road. That's what you want.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, to hear a fan base just completely, you look back and now everybody's on their phones, nobody's paying attention to what's going on now. That's just, it's a beautiful feeling, breathtaking. If I'm,
you've done your job when you reduce the atmosphere in an away stadium. That's
Absolutely.
for sure. And Sheldon, you need to release a book of like motivational mantras, because honestly, I could listen to that sort of thing all day. I've got to ask as well, as someone from the UK, when I watch the NFL and obviously in between downs, the stadium is pumped full of music. Is there a particular track that gets you going when you're in the middle of a match? What are you listening to at the moment?
Yeah. I'm kind of in the moment. I think it just kind of depends on what's going on. Situation within the game. I could just be talking over things with a teammate, trying to get something on the same page so we can go make a play, or as there are times when you may see something funny during the game, and now that little moment is like, hey, I can bring this up to my teammate real quick. So definitely a guy that's just kind of in the moment, never too much worried about too much things externally, but just kind of being in that moment with my guys and in that environment is kind of where I'm at.
For the
what would you listen to?
Go ahead.
Sorry,
Rich.
Dan.
No, go ahead, Rich.
I was going to say, what would you listen to before you enter play? Before you enter a match, what song would you listen to get you pumped up?
Oh, song. I probably don't have a specific song. So I'm not a super high energy guy. Like I'm not jumping all over the place. I'm not screaming. I'm not yelling. Like I need all this energy for these double teams and all that. Yeah, I need all that. So I'm usually pretty chill. There are times where I just kind of throw on some. There are times where I throw on some classical music. Sometimes
Nice.
I throw on some jazz or something like that, just to kind of mellow my emotions and kind of try to keep myself at peace. I know once it starts, it's a battle. My adrenaline's gonna be pumping. I'm all over the place. So like just be able to control that for as long as possible. And then when it's time to go, it's time to go.
Awesome. I like that. Now, for our fans in the UK, those that may not know, before you came to the Jets, you remember the New Orleans Saints, their home stadium is a dome. indoors as opposed to MetLife Stadium, which is, of course, out in the open. What's the biggest difference you've noticed so far in your career playing games indoors versus outdoors? How does that experience compare?
Yeah, the biggest difference is mentally, I would say, just playing in a dome, you got 8 games a year where you don't have to worry about anything. Like, you don't have to worry about weather. You don't have to worry about, it being humid. You don't have to worry about any of those things. That's probably the biggest difference. Outside of that, it's all football once the ball is snapped. But that's probably the biggest thing is just, playing outdoor, depending on where your city is or where you're located. If you're playing in the South, sometimes it'd be extremely humid, or, you could get, if you're living in Florida, it could be rain all the time, like different things like that. But playing in a dome, I just think like you just take away the fact that you don't have to think about elements. You just, take that thought process off your plate and just go play ball.
Final question for you, Sheldon. When the UK fans head out to the US, head out to New York to maybe take a match in, where would you recommend they go in terms of like bars, restaurants, places, areas?
I mean, it depends on what you want to do. I think, if I'm directing you, I'm going to direct you to food. That's just kind of what I'm here to do.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So I think it just kind of depends on what you like. Depends on if you want to stay in New York, you want to venture over to New Jersey. I mean, the list can get quite long, but if you don't come over here, you got to try some pizza. Definitely got to try some pizza. And I mean like some in New York City, like $1.50 slice pizza, like the greasy stuff.
Give me a pizza spot here. Give me a pizza spot. What's your go-to? You got one in Jersey?
So this is actually funny you brought that up.
Yeah.
It's actually crazy it came up. So yesterday after the game, checked out Blue Steel Pizza. It's over in, I think might be Bloomfield.
Okay.
Amazing.
Really?
Amazing.
What was on it?
Oh, I mean, look at me. It's nothing but pepperoni, sausage, and bacon on that thing.
Little meat lovers.
Yeah, absolutely. Come on now. You didn't really mean to ask that question. You knew the answer. Come on now. Yeah, but that if you want to venture over here, matter of fact, you let me know when you get here. I'll take you there.
Sheldon's got you.
100%.
I got you.
100% holding you to that. Listen, Sheldon Rankins, thank you so much for joining us. And I cannot wait for you to release your book, your motivational mantras book as well, because I'm going to be buying that.
Hey, I appreciate it. Hey, I need all the sales I can get. Absolutely.
Thanks, Sheldon.
Top man.
No
Thank
problem.
you.